You wanted the best. Well, they retired. So you got two dudes in a garage.
Talking KISS.
Welcome to the Hooligan Nation, a KISS-Centric podcast. I'm Anthony.
I'm Rocco.
And I'm Black Diamond Dave.
Very good. We all know our names. That's a good start to a podcast.
We practiced that.
Yes.
Welcome to our version of As the KISS World Turns, where we discuss KISS current events, rumors, news, and interviews with current and past members. Strap in, crank it up, and let's talk KISS. My two partners.
Yes. What's up, Captain?
Do you recall Gene Simmons' statements about the beautiful, overly popular, award-winning, most popular #1 KISS song ever a couple weeks ago?
I do recall.
Yeah, he said it was his favorite ever. And he thanked Peter for writing it.
Yeah, that's what he did in Bizarro World, the alternate universe.
Yeah.
Well, finally, Peter came out and did something that I don't think any of us thought he was going to do. And by any of
Not
us,
at all.
I mean, I don't think there is a KISS fan out there that thought Peter was going to come out and actually fight back or set the record straight or stick up for himself. You know what the interesting thing about that is? He really didn't.
Because it's very dignified.
But if you read the article and you read comments, Billboard contacted Peter. Like, I don't know that Peter would have come out and said anything if Billboard didn't contact him and ask the question. Which,
Right.
you know, our very own Black Diamond Dave has been on the fact that Peter is a classy individual these days. And I think that's more evidence of that. I think he was just going to ignore it like it was.
The path of least resistance. Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't, because like all kinds of stuff is coming out. All the other podcasts have also picked up on this. Everybody's talking about this, which I think is great, because no one is pro Gene Simmons in this circumstance.
He doesn't deserve that.
No,
Yeah.
Like,
how could you be?
I've always been a Gene guy, but he doesn't deserve that.
Podcasts that are notoriously very kind and nice to Gene are killing him. Like, everybody's killing him.
You reap what you sow.
And everybody say it's funny. Like, I was watching a couple of them yesterday and today, and we're all like broken records. You would almost think that we all got together and rehearsed all of this together, because we're all saying the same thing. Like, what's the point?
Right.
Where are you going with this? Why are you going there 50 some years later? I watched one today where they almost said word for word what we said Gene should have said. Like, hey, congratulations, Peter, on your new album. Loved Beth. Was a great song for the band. Thank you. And let's move on.
But
He didn't.
Right. But that's the premise of the whole thing. Peter's getting attention for a new album. He's the latest one with KISS to put anything out, and it's getting good press. Hey, I'm going to be a child now, and I'm going to belittle him.
Because it's not about Gene.
Right.
Yep.
It's a shame. It really is a shame that that he hasn't grown up over all these years. Again, yeah, you say it all the time. You won. They won. There's no reason to do that.
Yep.
Anytime anybody in the band does something good, it's a reflection on the entire band's legacy.
Sure, it's what I said. Peter Criss of KISS.
Right.
Vinnie Vincent of KISS.
Right.
It goes for all of them. Like, when they do something stupid, like Gene Simmons of KISS said this. But when they do something positive, Peter Criss of KISS did this. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't just say, hey, good for Peter. Today is Paul Stanley's birthday. Is he 74 today?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a 74-year-old, a 76-year-old, and an 80-year-old.
80-year-old.
And
Wow.
two of them can act like 10-year-olds
Yeah.
in a bad way. I act like a 10-year-old in a good way. Maybe Paul and Gene should call me and I can teach them how to act like a 10-year-old in a good way.
But you know what? Like, there's something that I love this. There's Michael Kay of the Yankees always uses this saying, sorry doesn't fix the lamp. Listen, Gene's been a guy that's entertained me my whole life, and he's always been my favorite. But he almost kind of takes away, like at this point, we should be able to cherish these guys even more. When they say certain things like that, it makes me respect them less.
I feel like I have Stockholm syndrome when it comes to Gene.
It's
Like
true.
he just says things that abuse and hurt me,
I
but
mean,
for
come
some
on,
reason I
man.
still love the guy.
Yeah, but I'm like, come
The
on.
hell is
man.
wrong with us?
Yeah.
Well, we've discussed this before you were on this podcast. Like to me, and I think we brought this up for the first time when it was the Roger Waters ordeal. Roger Waters is a douche,
Amen. On
but
record.
but that's not going to make me like dislike Pink Floyd. Like it doesn't change the music, it
Right.
doesn't change the history. It's just he is what he is, and the demon I love. Gene sometimes just goes too far, and somebody needs to put an emergency brake on him, like a remote button, to where they can push it, and like his lips get glued together or something. I
Clamps,
don't
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but why do I picture him coming home and Shannon telling him, sit down. Gene, how many times do I have to tell you this? You can't do this. You have to stop doing that. Like, I just feel like
Shannon, I'm a powerful and attractive man.
she scolds him 3 times a day, at least. I mean, how can you not? Like, whatever comes to that guy's mind flies out of his mouth.
Well, then, and
Imagine how popular of a podcast we could have if everything that popped into my mind flew out of my mouth. Oh, we'd be viral.
Oh, we'd,
well,
we'd be off the
and then
air.
Gene comes out with comments like, I
But
don't
we'd be
have any
viral
friends.
before we went off the air.
If the three of us let loose, it's canceled.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's
Say goodnight, Gracie.
These sometimes hateful comments comes from usually from when I and it's usually me, from when I usually say too much. You know, like with Vinny. Although I think the last hateful comment, I think that was aimed at you, Black Diamond Dave. Somebody said
Which
something.
one?
Somebody said something like, "I came here to listen about my favorite band, Kiss, not to listen to a 10-minute hate rant about Vinnie Vincent."
Buddy, you're lucky it was only 10 minutes. That was
And,
tame.
and my response to that was, "Well, that's why they invented the fast forward button." Because
Love you
I
anyway,
wasn't even
hooligan.
I wasn't
Yeah,
even
and
going to
just-
entertain that.
yeah, and dispute what he's saying. I mean, Vinny's kind of created his own mess.
And I said
Not
that
kind of,
also.
he has.
I said
Yeah,
that also
100%.
as I said it's not hate if it's the truth.
Right.
And charging $200 a song is just
Someone else on another show brought up an awesome point about that. Stairway to Heaven, Welcome to the Jungle, Satisfaction, anything by the Beatles, Metallica, all cost $1. The hell could Vinny have that could be worth more than $1
Right.
on iTunes?
nothing.
Right. And you know, I'll compare it to something else. We did an episode about the museum. And remember, we were looking at some of the art that Paul had, and it was really good.
We didn't do that episode yet.
Oh, okay, then forget it. I was just going to say how you compare it to
We've
to
been
the
meaning
art.
to do it for 2 months, but
The art
we just
gallery.
haven't done it yet.
Yeah, well,
The
reason,
art gallery we did one on.
but remember, there was a guy
What are you
that
talking
made a
about Paul's art?
No, we did something, right? Because the guy made a comment. Remember, he said something like, "No, that art really is worth that." Well, maybe it is.
Yes, that was when we did the episode or the whatever we did on Paul Stanley's art.
I was just using that for comparison. Like the art, you can see, okay, maybe we miscalculated. But yeah, the point I was making is you can't tell me what anybody can value at that cost. That's why, in a way, I feel sad. All you Vinny people, I feel sad for Vinny because he just doesn't get it.
I don't feel sad for Vinny. I feel sad for the legitimate Vinny fans.
How many do you think is actually going to sell?
How many is he going to sell?
Is he going to
Is that
make
what you're
300?
asking?
Yeah, is he going to make 300?
I think you'll sell a handful. Well,
But
but I don't know beyond that.
but if he sells, he says if he sells under 1,000, it doesn't come out.
The only people even coming close to spend is people who have like $10,000 in their ashtray at a car. Like, no, but if you have money to burn and you don't care about the money, then yeah, whatever. But I can't see anybody really spending hard-earned money on that.
Most cars don't even have ashtrays anymore.
Well, that's a good point.
But if somebody's hiding $10,000 in their ashtray, I'm going to start getting in people's cars and looking for their ashtray. All right, so I'm going to read this article from Billboard magazine. This is an interview with Peter Criss, where Billboard magazine contacted him and asked him for his response, and he gave Billboard his response. So by all means, you two can stop me whenever you want. Peter Criss is countering KISS bandmate Gene Simmons' recent claim that the Catman had nothing to do with the group's 1976 hit Beth. Criss co-wrote, along with the late Stan Pendridge and producer Bob Ezrin, and sang the group's atypical ballad. It was initially released as the B-side to Detroit Rock City, but after garnering airplay on its own, became KISS's biggest hit, peaking at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was certified gold by the RIAA and won the People's Choice Award for Favorite Song in 1977. Beth appears on KISS's 4th studio album, Destroyer, its first to achieve platinum status. Simmons told YouTube's Professor of Rock that Criss's role in the song has been overstated. Peter had nothing to do with that song. He sang it. The mythology of Beth is exactly that, mythology, Simmons said. The real story is Peter was lucky enough to be in the same place at the same time as a guy who wrote a song called Beth. Contacted by Billboard, Criss, who last month released his self-titled first new solo album in 18 years, says in no uncertain terms that Simmons' description of Beth's creative process is not correct. Gene wouldn't know how the song was originally written because Gene wasn't there from the conception of the song in the late 60s. He wasn't there for the completion of the song with Bob Ezrin. Gene's statements are ridiculous and very uncalled for. He talks about things he doesn't know about, is what Criss said to Billboard. What Gene's getting wrong is that as the singing songwriter, I wrote the melody and created the phrasing for the song. That's on the original demo, Beck, with Stan Pendridge. Out of Stan's little black book, what remained on the reworked version of Beth is Stan's original verse and chorus, and my core melody remains on the reworked composition. The core melody was expanded with Bob's orchestration, symphony, and musical genius. Bob and I sat at the piano at the Record Plant studio working out the song. Bob Ezrin changed the tempo and made it slower, and I worked on changing some of the second verse and the phrasing with the slower tempo. Criss adds that Bob Ezrin changed the title from Beck to Beth, not Gene or anybody else. It was Bob Ezrin. He asked me, Peter, do you mind if we change the title? I said, absolutely not. Beth is much better. Bob took the song home and fixed the rest of the lyrics and the structure of the song. He added piano, some time changes, and the incredible orchestra composition, which elevated the song beyond my wildest dreams. It was mind-blowing. The day the New York Philharmonic came in and recorded its part was one of the most beautiful days of my life. Stan's input, my voice, and mostly Bob's absolute musical genius is responsible for the success of Beth. Without Bob Ezrin's input and orchestral composition, the song would not be what it is today, and I am so grateful to Bob. Ezrin, meanwhile, tells Billboard that Simmons' account is not exactly how he remembered it. I believe from what I was told that the original song was written by Criss and Pendrich and was called Beck. It was a bit rockier and more macho. I felt it had potential, so I asked to take it home and play with it a bit. I did slow it down, as Gene says, and I created that piano part, but also made it more vulnerable and sensitive. It became more of a tragedy where both their hearts were broken. The section in the middle of Great Expectations, another song on the same album, was public domain, but the middle of Beth is my composition. Chris 80 recalls that Gene and Paul hated the song because it was a ballad and they did not want a ballad. It was Bob Ezrin who suggested the band needed a ballad because we had no girls in our audience. The band's manager, Bill Aucoin, agreed and supported Bob's idea. No one knew Beth was going to be a big hit. My name was credited to that song before it was a hit. That's a good point. I would not put my name on a song I had nothing to do with. That is not who I am. I would not do that. Criss also took offense at Simmons' contention on Professor of Rock that Peter does not write songs. He doesn't play a musical instrument. Drums are not a musical instrument by definition. They're called a percussive instrument, really important, sometimes extremely important in a band. It was for us. But you cannot play a drum fill that could be copyrighted. But you can come up with a riff that you can own and a melody and a lyric. Those can be copyrighted. But nothing you do on drums will prevent anybody else from directly copying whatever you did and applying it to another song. Criss counters that I do play an instrument. I play drums within the percussion family, and drums are one of the oldest groups of musical instruments and a fundamental part of music, acting as the rhythmic heartbeat that provides structure, tempo, and energy, uniting other instruments and guiding the groove in most genres. Drums are critical for timekeeping, creating the foundation that allows other musicians to synchronize, making them essential for cohesive and popular music like rock, pop, and jazz by definition. The Brooklyn-born Criss, who now resides in the great state of New Jersey, served 3 tenures with KISS, beginning with its founding in 1973 through 1980, then from 96 to 2000 and 2002 to 2004. There's been a great deal of acrimony with Simmons and Stanley over the years, with the two calling Criss and the late Ace Frehley out over substance abuses. Criss has been sober since the early 80s. The three nevertheless accepted the band's Kennedy Center honor during December in Washington, D.C., a week before the release of the new Peter Criss album. Criss is planning some personal appearances to promote the album this year and isn't ruling out the possibility of some concert dates, and he's planning to start working on a follow-up album soon. Whichever you want to go first.
I'm sure we both got a lot to say.
You have the floor.
Always go last.
All right.
Please, sir.
I'll keep it simple. Number one, all this is unnecessary. Never should have had to go back and forth. And even with all of that, Peter still didn't really say a lot of negative. He just said Gene doesn't know what he's talking about, which is still classy. So, like, it just shows, like, I said this before and it makes me laugh. Peter tried to quit the band like 15 times back in the day. And he was kind of, I always thought of him as like the child in the bunch, like taking my ball and going home. He is turned out to be the biggest adult in the room out of all of them. And I get more and more respect for Peter every day because he knows, he shows a lot of class.
You know, you and I have goofed on Peter in the past for quitting the band 15 times.
Right.
But it's moments like this that you wonder, was he justified? At least a couple of those times. Like, is this the stuff that they did behind closed doors?
They knew how to wind him up. They all knew how to wind him
Oh
up,
yeah.
and that he had a fragile ego when it came to things that he was, insecure about. And they
Right.
took advantage of that shit.
Right.
You definitely can tell when you read the books from all perspectives. They'll say that Peter's childish, but then they'll give you a story where they did something messed up.
Well,
Right.
you know what else is kind of noticeable? Like Gene was close with Ace. Even they had their different battles, but Gene had a relationship with Ace. To me, it seems like Gene really didn't have a relationship with Peter. Like it seems out of all of them, those two are the most distant out of all of them.
I've kind of heard different actually. Myself, like I've heard that like they like to drink milk together because they both like to put ice cubes in their milk and like random things like that. They did have
Oh
like a
wow.
weird closeness to them,
Okay.
but I've come to think over the years that Gene's just a chameleon. He can be your friend, but really doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
Is
Gene doesn't have
chameleon
friends.
is chameleon code word for jackass?
It
Well,
can
he's
be.
definitely never heard the word loyalty. That's for sure.
I got a few things out of this. I would call Bob Ezrin the least involved, most believable of the bunch. And
What does
I
he
don't
really gain from that?
I don't know if
Right.
that's fair or not. But look, let's be honest. Like we've heard bullshit, for lack of a better term, out of all four of the original members.
Oh yeah,
Like Bob Ezrin, if Gene was telling the truth, Bob Ezrin shouldn't have any problem of saying, yeah, what Gene said was right. He
Yeah.
did.
Right.
He didn't. Now he was very good at being politically correct, I thought. But he still pretty much, without saying it, calls Gene a liar.
He's got to
And
be, and behind closed doors, he's got to be like, "Are you kidding me? What are we talking about this for? It's Peter's song. It's always been Peter's song."
I think that's everybody's opinion.
Right.
I think that is every Kiss fan's opinion. I think that is every person's opinion that has any kind of public platform. I have not heard one person in any form of media come out and say anything negative about Peter. Because Peter, as far as I know, Peter has never come out and said, I wrote Beth. Never. I've never heard it once. He's always given credit to both Bob Ezrin and Stan Pendrich. And I said this a week or two ago. I don't know how to write a song. I've never written a song. But I imagine that if, the three of us are writing a song and I go, hey, why don't we slow this down or speed this up? And why don't we put this line of lyrics in there? Well, that counts. I'm now a co-writer. And if you don't want me to be a co-writer, then don't slow the song down and don't put the lyric in there. And to me, what Peter said was pretty much like I created some of the melody and I put some, I think he said, verses in there. Sounds like a co-write to me.
Well, the other thing you said that made me think of something is timing. You can completely be lost without a drummer. Using a drum track, your timing is off. Usually your rhythm section, your bassist, and your drummer are vital to a good cohesive tight band. And for him to say that drums aren't an instrument is just downright stupid.
He's
It
doing
is. It's stupid.
he's doing
100%
but he's doing what Gene Simmons does. He's
denying
trying
reality.
well, but he's trying to be technical. It's not a musical instrument. It's a percussive instrument. But percussion is part of music.
Right. Tell that to orchestras. Tell that to, I mean, like marching bands.
I just think it's funny the bass player wants to complain about drums.
Yeah,
The two
Right.
things that intermingle the most.
Right. Exactly. They know how much they need the drummer. Absolutely.
Right.
But the bottom line of this is does and this is, you know, as long as we talk about this, I'm gonna sound like I've sounded from the start. Does the average Kiss fan care? You two are different. You play instruments. You're musical.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I can call either one of you the average Kiss fan or anybody else out there that plays a musical instrument. I don't care if it's a flute, it's a musical instrument. I don't play any of that. I have no idea where the sounds or how the sounds come from the musician. And you know what? I don't care. I could care less. You want to call it a percussive instrument? Great. You want to call it a musical instrument? Great. You want to not call it an instrument? Great. I don't care.
We're in 2026, right? Is there anything that could ever be done to that song to make anybody who's not even a Kiss fan think it's not a Peter Criss song? It's a Peter Criss song.
It's 100% a Peter Criss song.
It's so ridiculous.
I would like to challenge. I'm gonna do a you. I would like to challenge both Paul and Gene to re-record Beth with each of them singing and see if it's better than Peter singing it.
They tried that shit with Eric though.
Oh
right, but Eric had more of a similar sounding voice, just like Eric Singer had a similar sounding voice. Gene can't pull Beth off, and Paul can't pull Beth off, just like Peter can't pull Detroit Rock City off.
Right.
And Peter can't pull Deuce off.
God of Thunder.
Right. You see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
The foundation of this entire incident doesn't make any sense to me. You waited 50 years. This is not the first time it's come up. Everybody knows that the song started with Beck. It started in Chelsea. It was changed over. Everybody knows that Bob Ezrin took it in and pretty much made it the hit that it is. Everybody got credit for it. Why is someone that had nothing to do with it trying to take the credit away from one person?
Let's go even bigger. What is Gene's most important thing in his life?
Money.
How much did Peter being part of that song, contribute to his pocket?
Oh,
tremendously.
You know what I mean?
I mean, right. I don't think anybody can put the ballpark number on it, but it's a little bit of revisionist history because generally speaking, what's considered the greatest Kiss studio album?
Destroyer. Beth.
I mean, we all have our own opinions.
Right.
Dave, what's your favorite Kiss album? Is it Love Gun?
It's Love Gun.
So, I mean, I don't think we're weird, but him and I are Love Gun and you're Dynasty. But generally speaking, Destroyer is looked at as the greatest Kiss studio album.
Right.
If we all put our thinking caps on, is Destroyer looked at as the greatest Kiss studio album if Beth isn't on it?
No way.
No way.
No, can't be.
Even with Detroit Rock City, it's no way.
It has to have the breakthrough hit.
Oh, well, something had to be happening at the radio stations when you send out a single and they don't play Detroit Rock City and they flip it over and they play Beth. Like, that's telling you something. I mean, me personally, I think I would rank Detroit Rock City higher than Beth for me.
Me too.
But in 1976, it appears as though everybody wanted Beth.
It made you think more of Kiss. It changed it to more of a mainstream idea for Kiss. Because Beth appealed to so many different people of different backgrounds. If you were a country fan, you heard Beth, you probably liked it. You know, I mean,
definitely.
You know what I mean? Like it changed how Kiss was thought of. I think
them country boys like orchestra. I didn't know that. Sorry. Did
We
I
like
say
that.
that?
We like those in, what was it, the djembe?
The Jumbe.
Djembe Mutombo? He played center for the Washington Bullets, I think. Djembe Mutombo.
No.
I don't know, dude. Like, why do I have this sinking feeling that this is probably not over? And why do I also have this sinking feeling that the one person that's alive that could really come out and set the record straight in 100 different ways, Paul Stanley, isn't going to
That's
say
interesting.
anything.
Yeah.
Because
Never.
Paul could come out and could say, hey, look, Gene's full of shit. He's doing what Gene does.
Right.
What Bob Ezrin and Peter Criss said is absolutely how I remember it. It's dead. It's dead right there.
Yeah, the
Because-
last person Paul is standing with is Peter, though.
Right.
Yeah, but you're not really standing with Peter because you're, number one, you're standing with the fans who, at least from what I've seen, they are extremely irked that this is even going on,
Stuff like that's
especially
an
at
insult.
their age.
It's an insult to the fans. Absolutely.
Right.
I'd laugh if Paul did that. That would be
was
some pretty
interesting.
funny. Yeah.
I think that, dude, I think that would be the greatest thing that could happen. Paul could come out in under 2 minutes and say, look, Peter co-wrote the song, that it was a great song. Let's walk away from it. That would be a politically correct answer
Mhm.
and would be answer enough that this whole thing could go away. But Paul's got to go against Gene, and
They have a pact.
gotta
The
go
goodwill
for
that
Peter.
would get Paul. Would
Oh,
be-
yeah.
Paul,
They have
and
a-
not that he cares, but he could use it, dude.
Yeah, they both could. And they're both doing nothing. They're destroying their personal legacies.
Yeah,
They're
not the bands,
starting-
not the brands themselves. Mhm.
Right. I mean, for me, it's not going to change anything.
No,
Like, I love the Demon.
Stockholm syndrome.
Gene,
Yeah.
ask me depending on the day. If you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, please leave us a review. And if you just found us, check out our past episodes. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel and you like this episode, please consider hitting the like button, just like them guys, and leaving us a comment. Hit that subscribe button, just like them guys, so you don't miss any future episodes, and check out these episodes right here. As always, if you made it this far, thank you for supporting us. And don't forget, we should all lead with love and take care of each other. Peace out, Hooligan Nation.